Hi everyone, my name is Carla Zambelli. I'm a congresswoman in Brazil. I would like to talk to you about the movie The Edge of Democracy. In 1942, Orson Welles, the American filmmaker who made the classic Citizen Kane, came to Brazil to make a film that would be called It's All True. It was the time of United States good neighbor policy with Latin America. The film was supposed to have episodes about the carnival in Rio de Janeiro and the fishermen in Brazilian Northwest. It remained unfinished though due to disagreements between the director and the studio that had ordered the film. But the exhibition at film festival of the footage that survived into today reveal a filmmaker committed to showing with intellectual honesty the Brazilian reality of the time instead of just making a political propaganda film. That is what is expected of a great filmmaker. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said of the Brazilian documentary The Edge of Democracy by filmmaker Petra Costa. What voters at the Academy of Cinema in Los Angeles may not know yet is that this documentary that now competes for the Oscars creates a fictional story about the political and economic crisis that led to the impeachment process of Dilma Rousseff in 2016. This crisis in Brazil had its origin during the years that the left were in power. At that time, the Workers' Party always flirted against the freedom. For example, to establish a kind of social control over the media. It was during this period as well that Brazilian democracy lost some credibility due to the biggest corruption scandal in national history, revealed and dismantled by Operation Car Wash, which changed the direction of Brazilian politics. It revealed, for example, that huge bribes were paid by the government to brokers and politicians in exchange for contracts with the National Oil Company. That's when it all started. The crisis that transformed all Brazilian politics began and led to the impeachment of 2016. Gained political legitimacy thanks to the genuinely popular movements. Millions of Brazilians took to the streets to protest against political corruption and economic disaster. But Petra Costa seems to prefer the biased version created by the Workers' Party. The same party, in fact, which since the beginning of the shooting had actively supported her documentary. During the impeachment process, filming was conducted with prior knowledge of the outcome of the impeachment and the imprisonment of the ex-president Lula. And that's not all. Faced with evidence that she had digitally altered his history photographs for inclusion in her documentary, Petra Costa ended up admitting that it was a personal view of history based on her own ideological convictions. That is, she created her own historical truth. The problem is when there is an attempt to confuse history and fiction, as in the documentary in question, in which a lie is actually pretending to be true, and a political propaganda does not recognize itself to be just that, propaganda. Brazilians do dream of one day seeing a national production winning the Oscar, but not at the expense of falsifying the truth. We don't want to win a real prize with a fake production. We know that, unlike that unfinished film about Brazil by the great Orson Welles, this documentary by Petra Costa could very well be called It's All Fake.